Hello and welcome to Zero Cool Gaming and today's TV show review. Today we're going to be reviewing a show called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Now, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century was a much better show than The $6 Million Man. Now, you might be wondering why I say that. Well, it's because many of the actors from The $6 Million Man, went on to do the Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. And from now on, I'm just going to call this Buck Rogers. Um, and their acting skills improved a lot. Um, Kind of like if you've ever watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, you would know that the first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, the actors weren't all that great, but they got better as the show went on. They got better at their job. And this show is a prime example of that, where they took actors from actually a lot of different shows, TV shows, even some from movies, and cast them into this TV show, and they were much better actors here than they were in previous um, things that they had done. Now, of course, that should make sense to anyone. As you do something longer and longer, you should get better at it, or at least try. And this is a prime example of that. Now, why did I enjoy Buck Rogers in the 25th and a half century? Well, besides for the fact that it's a sci-fi setting, and I love things that are in a sci-fi setting, um, this show taught a very hard moral, and I think that's why it's hated. Because if I believe, let me take a look real quick. Yes, Rotten Tomatoes gives this a 33. It's rotten to the core. Well, the audience score gives it a 71. Who would have guessed? Um, is it the best show I've ever seen? No. But it is a good show. Because, as I said, it teaches a very hard moral. And that moral is forgiveness. Many times in this show, you will see not just reference to, but a greater understanding of what forgiveness truly is. And I'm going to go ahead and go into that and explain to you what I think it means. Forgiveness is not something that someone else gives to you. Not to say that people can't forgive you for things that you've done, but that forgiveness coming from others is hollow. Because just because somebody forgives you for something that you've done does not mean that you yourself are going to change as a result of it. That is not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is something that comes from within. Forgiveness forces you to look in upon yourself, see the wrongs that you have done, and change because of them. So, what is true forgiveness? True forgiveness is forgiving yourself. And the only way to truly forgive yourself for something you have done is to never do it again. That's a hard lesson learned. And because obviously people today hate that concept to the extreme, they hate this show. Because that's truly what it teaches. It teaches that just because the whole world forgives you, it doesn't necessarily change who you are at heart. And it won't change the core of what made you do that thing to begin with. And you will repeatedly do it until you have forgiven yourself for it. And that doesn't mean that you go to some building and say, "Oh, please forgive me," and say a bunch of whatever, and, you're forgiven. And then the next Monday you do it again. No, that's not forgiveness. Asking for forgiveness is hollow and useless because it serves no purpose. But looking in upon yourself, recognizing the wrongs that you have done to others, correcting that behavior, and then rising above it to never do it again, that shows true forgiveness, even if no one else ever forgives you for it. The fact that you yourself have changed who you are to ensure that that never happens again is true forgiveness. And Buck Rogers goes over this repeatedly. It's like the theme, the underlying theme within the show itself. There are many characters within this show that try to forgive themselves for their transgressions against others and repeatedly fall back into their old ways because it is easier to be who you were than to become someone better. And this show shows that as well. It shows that it is so much easier for someone who may even want to be forgiven, who may want to be a better person, but it will always be easier for them to revert back to what they know and become the same horrible person that they once were. And within this show, there are several characters that do exactly that time and time again to show and present to the audience why hollow forgiveness serves no purpose. And the end of the show is a homage to that. The overarching villain, or villainess, as the show has portrayed it, at the end of the show finally becomes a better person. But all throughout the show, they are constantly fighting this because they don't want to change. They don't want to look at themselves and realize that they are the reason that things never work out for them. That their actions, their belief structure, their way of approaching problems will never get better until they do. Hard lessons learned. It's hard to find shows today that teach life lessons. And as I'm learning by doing this and giving reviews over shows that I loved as, throughout my life and helped to shape me into the person I am today, I see this. I see these hollow shows that they create today where they present a moral, a value, a virtue, and then they give you the hollow answer to it. The easy way. The easy way never works. Like I said, the whole world could forgive you for your transgressions. But if you yourself never change as a result of that, and you're still willing to commit the same transgression again and again and again, How does any of that forgiveness help you? It doesn't. It's hollow. It's useless. It is the easy way. The hard way, as I have stated, and will state again, is to look in upon yourself, recognize and identify what it is that you had done, and find it within yourself how to forgive yourself for it and choose to never do it again. And like I said, even if no one forgives you, ever, for what you've done, you can always forgive yourself and become a better person for it. And that is what Buck Rogers in the 25th Century is about. It is a show about forgiveness. All right, well, that's my rant for the day, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of yours.